Sometimes you would think that that a bad year is going to just destroy those, but it really doesn't. I mean, kids, for us, for example, I think that if you look at the consistency of winning and you see a bad year, I think it's a lot different than someone who wins. It was a struggle that year. We had 3 losing seasons in a 4-year period of time, but we did. We just kind of, we just stuck to what we believed in. We did what we did, and eventually tried to make a good job evaluating. But develop relationships with people, but I don't think it's. I think it surprised people the year we had recruits, but I also think if they look at the track record that they did, we've won on a pretty consistent basis. But it was different than back then. It was just, it was, we really had nothing to sell. We were just selling it, trust us, believe in us. So it's a bit different.
One of the things that was most difficult about recruiting at that time here in the state, there were some real rifts between the university and the St. Louis community, the coaches, some of the athletes out there. Talk a little bit about how you got that kind of rebuilt, that relationship between St. Louis and the high school coaches out there and getting them out here at Mizzou.
I think it's just all about treating people right, being respectful of people, be respectful of coaches, the coaches trust you. And all the players we got out of St. Louis have had success. And now they're that's probably the biggest thing you can do is sell. They go back to high school and say it's a great place to go to school, and so that's to me the number one thing that sells your program. The process there was difficult. It was a lot of things that were going on, and Demetrius Johnson really helped us. We had a big player meeting in St. Louis. We must have had 40 ex-players there, and it was an intense, emotional meeting for everybody in there. But that was probably one of the best things we ever did. That Demetrius Johnson that set that up at the time. And then it's about just treating people respectfully and also having success with kids from the St. Louis area. So I think a combination of all those things helps us.
Coach, you're talking about relationships. That's how you've always recruited. How tough is it? Everybody wants you to go into Georgia, go into Florida. How long does it take? How tough is it to develop relationships with coaches down there and high school kids?
We have the same problem when we were in Texas, though.
Sure.
The same thing. It's just consistency of doing things year after year, over and over and over again. Having some kids play for you, get some publicity. They're playing well. For us, Daenerys Alexander's, first-team All-American. Spoon is, all back 12 linebacker, first-round draft choice. I can go on and on with some of the Ziggy Hood and all those other guys. And there's a lot of others, Chase Daniel. I can go on and on with all those guys. But then slowly, those guys, then it kind of runs itself in a while. But it'll take a little while. We understand that, and we're just. It's just important that we just continue to work hard and we get in to see as many people as we can, because it's still about people. It's about treating people respectfully and them trusting that when they come to Mizzou that we're going to take care of them and do the right things with them. And I think through time that gets done.
Can you talk about the young man from Bishop Hogan, Anthony Sherrill, the corner?
Yeah.
Every time I covered him, he made a physical play. He made something in the run game where he'd go up and blow up the lead blocker or something every game.
Great athlete, really great athlete. He's tough. He's competitive. I think he's a guy that's going to be a real good player here, and we're real excited about having him. But he is like, you're right. He makes things happen, and certainly, he's a guy that I think has a great future here.
Thank you very much.
Gary, every Mizzou fan, every college fan is a coach to a point. They have the right answers. They know what to do. Part of recruiting is somewhat of a PR ploy, or at least I'm trying to think of the right word, but how do you convince your fan base that everything is going to be all right? We had one down year. Recruiting is going to be okay. When they look at these other recruiting sites, say, hey, we're ranked here, and this school's ranked above us.
I've never commented on that in the 13 years I've been here. I never did it one time. The first few years we were here, I don't know what our ranking was. I never know what it's been. Chad told me most of the rankings are pretty consistent with what it's been overall, and most of the rankings what it's been over the past few years, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. So, but I would suggest that we've done a pretty good job recruiting, or I probably wouldn't be standing here.
You talked about the issues that you had going into St. Louis, going into schools here in this state. Obviously a challenge going into Georgia and Florida, but you at least have that reputation of, hey, we've recruited kids, we've sent them to the pros. Does that help? Does that make it a little bit easier when you go into these new areas where you're recruiting?
There's no question about it. We went in, there was certainly a degree of respect just because of our program, Obviously I don't think you want to go in the first year in the SEC and have a losing season, and that was not very good. Obviously it's not. We all know that. But, things happen, and, we should battle out of it. And that's as long as we're focused now on having a great year next year.
But realistically, though, I mean, there were a lot of things that went against you in terms of injuries, and it wasn't like that was your top team and you lost. So did you think people take that into account when you're
Well,
outside?
I hope they do, but again, I hope they just trust that that we know what we're doing. It wasn't there's no question about it. I mean, you take your starting quarterback and half your offensive linemen, you're going to have problems. Johnny Manziel, we take him. And he's a great player. You take him away from A&M, they might not win 7 games. So I mean, I'm just being honest with you. Ask the first year at Indianapolis when they didn't the first year when they didn't have Peyton Manning, right? I think the coach got fired or something. And they got I don't know. But my point is they won 4 games. They went from winning 11 games to 4 games.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. I think the answer to that though is I talked to every one of my seniors that left. And everyone, and not everyone, but I talked to 5 of the seniors that left, and every one of my returning seniors. And I asked the players about because I always evaluate things. What was it like from January last year, coming off that bowl in North Carolina, until September 1, the work ethic of our team and the attitude of our team? Be honest with me. I need to know these things. And there was not one that said it was the best year we've ever had preparation since they've ever been here. Every single guy said the same thing.
Wow.
And so up to that point, everything was good. We didn't, and maybe I didn't as head coach, handle the injuries very well. We were up and down, up and down. When you get up and down like this, so coaches always say you got to start winning streaks. You get streak winning, it gives you confidence. And up and down winning, slowly your confidence erodes. And with that and a combination of injuries, it was very difficult.
Looking forward to spring ball now?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward now. We have workouts Tuesday morning. Our players are cranked up, the weight room. We're excited. Those guys are used to winning. But the good news is you got to go prove yourself, and that's good. And that's what we got to do. And I'm going to put in a little bit more to our players about trying to demand that they keep themselves healthy here. So that might help us.